Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ain't That Right? Local studio today, not Studio DD. We're in Studio Barca. Yeah, a little trip across the pond and down to the Mediterranean and just enjoying ourselves, having a nice little. I think we were in Saint. Times is spotty, of course. My snafu, with all of my arduous and preparation that went into this, trip, I forgot my travel adapter. And it's one of those things that, you plug in a supermercado, pick myself up something, I don't know what it is, but it's working, it's giving me some power, and we're hopefully going to be able to broadcast out, power things up, have a decent evening. It is about 7 o'clock here in Barcelona. What up, DD? Ain't that right? We got the Penguin. Penguin checking in. So, Penguin, you're out there in Arizona, and I'm over here. It's amazing. It's wonderful how the internet and the interweb can bring us all together and have a conversation literally across the globe. Flight over was nice. I know it's like conversation. I was able to move my seat up to like the exit row because it wasn't super. Yeah, I probably am gonna lag a little bit, and I don't know if I can do it through the hotspot or not. So it's sort of like the bench test for it to work. Earlier, I was doing K4 Wind Show, and we had some issues with it coming across. So if it does cut out and I do go away and we don't get into our full-on conversation today, I'm gonna try and use the hotspot. But again, uh, power and plugging things in and charging things is not the it's not at my disposal as much as I want it to be. So I will go along the best I can. But I guess our conversation then can be about like adapting and overcoming and kind of like flowing into whatever presents itself to you. So many times we talk about our part of practice and our principles and necessarily give ourselves enough credit for maneuvering these seas, right? We don't give ourselves enough credit for being the individual who can take on this criticism, take on the pressures, take on the stresses, take on the right the ship and move along through it and be that calm voice of reason or be that person that people can lay their shoulder on, lay their head on. And it really is a wonderful thing. It's also a very taxing thing, a very stressing thing. Why it's super important to go ahead and make sure you have activities and you have hobbies and you have con- constructive behaviors that let you recharge. Some of the evolving, growing, taking 10 minutes to think. We always talk about that little bit of burp, that moment of question, that moment of if you journal, you have a you have your affirmations, you have congratulatory you want to, send out to people and places and things. It puts us back in a better state so that individuals we're able to meet them with what they need. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, sometimes we are frustrated from being able to pivot. It was, I want to have it done a certain way. I don't want to really bother anyone else with what's going on. Um, Better for me just to do it. And that's fine for menial task. But when you step outside and then now you're in an organization, you're in a relationship, you're in a career, you have to be willing to and sometimes push it aside, some the past, right? My CGM Motorsports guy, whether or not we're the right person, are we the wrong person, are we with the right person, they're right with us, is this the right job for me, it's not the right job for me. All the while, these basic things that you have to take care of in your life still keep coming, still keep coming, and still keep coming. So without having these pivot points to where you can maneuver, it leads us to sometimes not healthy spaces. Obviously, people make bad decisions at times. People don't have the best habits. But when we start to take away from very foundation of ourselves and to that moment to pause, that moment where we can just encapsulate what's happening, like, all right, I got this. People are always talking about the negative. Well, you can be overly hyped up. You could be super duper excited about something. And in that momentary whimsical nature that you're running down and screaming from the top of your lungs, something else gets affected. You know, maybe that you're projecting something that someone else isn't feeling and experiencing. And this isn't a kibosh on you not expressing yourself, you not being happy, or, oh, you can't tell me I can't do this. No, that's not what it is. But we want to try to be mindful of the totality because being conscientious, being respectful, being aware leads to our growth. You know, people will always say, you're never going to know what someone's going to until you go through it yourself. Walk a mile in their shoes, uh, pick up every euphemism in the world, every little metaphor. And it's really true. You know, you never know what someone's going through. You never know how their day has started out. We encountered this when we talked about individuals who are just having a bad day, right? They're just having a really, really bad day. And, you know, they get in line at the store or they're getting in line at the market or whatever. And you can tell that you're waiting for that one little catalyst to set everything off. In that moment, that individual and you, like, you're going through all of these steps in their head to get to this particular point, right? Elation, joy, a breaking point, some sort of emotional release, good and bad. Being able to encounter that and handle it, give the right response, not only is that a wonderful gift, but it's something that you need to train yourself with every single day. And we start when we're super little and we're criticizing, correcting, and affirming and loving, the little toddlers and the kids. You're telling your kids, do this, don't do that. And then there's comes to a point where, okay, the behavior needs to be addressed. Okay, boom, here's the behavior. I'm going to encourage it. I'm going to discourage it. I'm going to discipline it. I'm going to, champion it. But working through that, we still do that as adults. Everyone has an individual, everyone has their circle of friends, everyone has their colleagues, their work life balance. People have like their partners, and uh, yeah, not today. Like today, don't. Don't push that button for that person today. Or button has been pushed and they're going to come to me and say, yo, Dunk, let me run something by you. And 9 10 people just need to get things off their chest. They just need some sort of outlet. They need something to clear their mind. Super frustrated with not having some of the creature comforts of home. Let's just use that as an example. I could be pissed off about it. I could rant on about it. I could not do a program. I could, hop in the bed, lay down on the lounge, whatever. Facing it, going through it, doing these things, being present for yourself when you don't really want to be present for yourself, and in turn, you're present for other people. That's maturity. That's growth. It's like, I really don't want to get up and go in today. But yeah, we know we have these things in the background that we always talk about, right? We have our finances and we have our bills, and all those things are always going to be there. But your headspace applied to those people, places, things, visions, it's essential that you're not constantly wound up. You're not constantly in a position where you're putting so much pressure on yourself or the pressure is so great around you that you're not willing or you feel in such a spot where like, I need a timeout. I need a timeout. Okay, you took the time out, but now that's the next step. Like, what's the in-game adjustment? How do we pivot? Is it a healthy pivot? Is not healthy pivot? What resources do I have? Do I not have resources? Okay, how do I get resources? Right. And sometimes we talk about making and creating our own resources. Right. We're not all independently wealthy. We can't go to the spa every single day, but you can take 5 out on us. Um, I will try to figure out the Wi-Fi more. It's spotty, but anyway, take the time. I guess what I'm trying to say today is take a couple of minutes for yourself to be prepared when these moments of adaptation meet you. These moments of you're not necessarily anticipating it, good and bad, but how do I want my response to come across? How do I want to be the best version of myself in these moments? How do I want to navigate whatever it is that comes down the line? Because it is important, right? It's super important the way we react, the energy that we give off, the energy that we take in. And if you're in a situation or if you're in an environment that doesn't lend itself to your better being, then you need to have those serious conversations with yourself about, well, maybe I need to do something else, maybe to go someplace else, maybe change what's happening. And if that's not the case, because we always talk about not having this immediate resource available to do the necessary changes, right? I'm going to go quote the great Harry Chapin, the late great Harry Chapin. You can travel around 10,000 miles and still stay where you are, which means like you can take all your stuff, but it's going to go with you. So a lot of times we get into these new relationships, we get into these new businesses, we get into these new partnerships, we get into these new organizational arrangements, and you're still bringing some of this baggage with you. And everyone has baggage. Like that's not the point. The point is, how am I handling my baggage? How am I processing it? What am I laying out for myself, and what am I laying on other people, and vice versa? How much do I want to undertake? How much go through. We want to be the best version of ourselves. But if you're not acknowledging, if you're not seeing, if you're not willing to say, time out, I got to reprioritize. Got my priority practices, got my principles, right? That's our foundation. We have our disciplines, practices, principles, affirmations. That's great. Do I need to retool it? Do I need to focus more on this particular area as opposed to that area? Lately I haven't been feeling the best physically. So guess what? Instead of focusing more on the writing and the creative side of it, the content side of it, I need to work in another 20, 30 minutes of just up and around activity. Why? Because my body, my mind, my frustration is telling me, dude, take a break, make a change. This is good for you. Well, it's going to piss some people off because then Dunk, you're not going to be there. Or it's going to piss somebody off because, well, this is the time where we always get together and we always talk and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. But you're prioritizing yourself, right? And this isn't selfless to a point of, screw everybody else, Cartman, I'm going home. This is, I want to be there and I like where I'm at and I like who I'm around, but I got to take a little bit of me time. Next week, I might not need the gym. Next week, I might just need a little bit. I might need to just, journal a couple little things. Yeah, weather's kind of crappy. Can't go outside. Put my music on, recenter. But being prepared, being able and willing to adapt when these things come around is training. It's a balance. You're constantly evolving oneself. You're constantly trying to make this great version of you. So we talked about journaling, we talked about affirmations, we talked about physical activity, we talked about our mental health. Environment aside, I know the big thing to say like Dunk, like I can't pin that, but like pin that for a second because we want to understand that we are sometimes in positions out of necessity when it comes to, oh, well, this is my job, it's a job I need, it's going to pay my bills, blah blah blah. And in the background we're working, right? We're training and relearning and educating, and we're going towards maybe a different avenue, which is that vehicle that will get you there because we're not all able to instantaneously do it. Putting those things aside because they're constants. Bills are always going to be there. Checks always in the mail. Yada yada yada. Where you go and what you do and who you are surrounded with, even in those situations, my experience, that has been greater than half of the frustrations. And 9 times out of 10, we can control that. Can't control who I sit next to on an airplane. Can't do it. I mean, if you're going to go with someone that you know, that's awesome. More power to you. Just randomness, right? I can't control who's going to be hired at the job, who I'm going to be working with, who's sitting next to me in my cubicle, who I get assigned to on this particular team. Again, Murphy button, there's jobs, there's contracts. We get that. But for the most part, we're placing ourselves in positions to where we have an unknown variable. And it's our duty, it's our job to get in there and kind of sort through it and figure it out. And we do for the most part. But in that sorting out, are we making the right choices for ourselves? Well, I want to be accepted at school, Dunk. I want to be accepted at work. I want to be that person where people come to me. Yeah, but dude, you can't handle that problem. Why? You're trying to figure it out yourself. Well, we can figure it out together. Can you? So now you're figuring it out together, staying up all night, you're going out, you're wasting your resources. Maybe you're making, eh, choices that you wouldn't really make on the level. But it's like, I want to be there, blah blah. And 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, you wake up and you're sitting there now. You got a best friend. It's awesome. Do so many things, all these experiences. It's great, blah 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 blah. But you're still in the same spot. You're still arguing about, man. I wish I could get out of here. I wish things would change. There's so much stuff it's always against. That's like you haven't done anything to really go beyond. Well, I say my stuff. I do my things. I work on myself. Right, but you go right back to that situation. You go right back to that person, and you're not capable, real talk, of growing there. It's the endeavor is noble. The wantonness to help and to be the pivot person, the adapter, the changer. That's congratulations. That's great. Be happy. Be wonderful. But You don't keep putting your hand in the fire if you're not prepared to get burned and then complain about getting burned, right? We know the situations that we put ourselves in, and that's why I said 50% of the time. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. We can talk to, we control who we interact with, we control where we go, we control what we put in our bodies, we control the things that we watch, the things that we take in. This doesn't mean you can't have fun. This doesn't mean you can't, enjoy the fruits of your labor in the world and be lazy and, today I'm anything. Shout out to Bruno Mars. But you cannot expect this growth and this change and this adaptivity to be there for you if you keep going back to the same place in the same routine with the same people over and over and over. Well, I shouldn't have any friends then, so screw those guys. I can't. No, that's not what that means. This means that when you see these hurdles in your own self and what you can handle begin to present in your daily life, you need to have a set of skills. You need to have your priority practice. You need to have your disciplines. You need to have your time out. And you can't take time out. So what's your reaction? Fight, flight, scream, yell. What benefit for everybody involved is going to come afterwards? What's going to come in that moment? Those are the things when we have our, big stoic conversations and, Marcus Aurelius stuff and Socrates and Aristotle, Kierkegaard, like thinking, what tools do I have? How am I going to react? How am I going to engage? What do I want to do? What do I want to be? What can I handle? And be honest with yourself. Like there's things I can't handle it. I can't do it. This doesn't mean I don't find myself in these positions where I need to address it, but there are some things that I know I am way better suited to deal with than other. Why? Because I've either effed up and spun out of control and racked my brain and, got completely frustrated, depression, anxiety, all kind of stuff, or it, I couldn't. You need to make sure that in this balance, you are equipped and honest and real, and you have the tools necessary for a particular endeavor. What's the catch? The catch is everyone's their own person. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm the way that I'm going to react. I'm going to throw my comments out. How it's received, how it's perceived, heard, how it's listened to, how it's acted upon. I've got no control over it. And being mature enough, haha, to let go of control is scary and freeing at the same time. Parents is fully like, oh, they got it. It's cool. Almost up in age and still get the phone call from, you know, parents, mom, dad, whomever else, like, oh, watch what you're doing, like this, blah, blah, blah. But in our close personal relationships and our relationship with ourselves, being able to, and this is, I'm gonna say it's Aquinas, he's like, let go and let God. Like, this isn't a faith thing. It's just like the idea of like letting go and letting the world, letting life, letting this energy sort of take its course because you're coming from a good, positive juncture, right? You're coming from a good and positive place where you have sorted out sort of how things are going to play out and how things are going to affect you. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's crap. Right? Gennaro Gattuso, what's up, buddy? Italy team doing well. Try to qualify for World Cup, please, please, please. Like, need to get into this World Cup to come to the States. Like, I need you guys there, really, really bad. So shout out to the Azuri. I know we're in Spain, so sorry, but um, but you've got to be willing to go down that road. And one of the most difficult things I have for myself is being able to just let go of something, let go of I can't tell you how to interpret this. I can't tell you react. It's challenging. You learn, you experience it, you move on. You're taking that lesson with you so that you've now honed the return is amazing. The like just not for me. And so much in today's world are we afraid to say, no, I can't. I don't want to. It doesn't suit me. It doesn't enrich me. I'm going to prioritize this over that. Why? Because we look like the bad person. You look like the a-hole, right? Like, oh, you don't want to give me stuff for yourself. And, and you can do whatever it is that you want to do, and you can rationalize whatever you want to rationalize in yourself. I've learned, I've lived, experienced that, that I can't. I can't. Rid of that stuff. That not getting your responsibilities, not getting rid of your priorities, getting rid of the stuff that you have found yourself in, or you've created. You're the out, figure what works. Pissed off at the guy at the corner for not making my coffee or my sandwich right, and I keep going back like it's going to change. Like, why do I put myself in that position? Now I got to go out of my way someplace. Well, yeah. Why? Because the service or the quality of the product is going to be what I want, or I'm going to buy the pieces and do it my. But again, putting your hand back in the fire, sticking your hand in the door. Oh yeah, later over those things when you are faced with the moment.